For the last few weeks, I've been tapping trees and collecting sap and waiting for the day that we had enough for it to boil down into maple syrup. And that day is finally here. This is Simple Living with Beata. For the last year, we've been developing our dream home and homestead from scratch with very little experience. This dream started with a small backyard homestead where we grew our own food and made our own maple syrup. My very first maple syrup video went viral on TikTok, and so I thought I'd make an extensive version where I show you how we do it. Last year when making the maple syrup, I had a really hard time getting the fire going because I didn't have everything I needed all in one spot. So I'm gonna go collect all of my birch bark, all of my kindling, all of my pieces of wood, and then get the fire going. We got a nice piece of maple here.
Trying to have a ride.
Oh.
There it is.
Okay, now put somebody push me.
No.
Yeah.
You're not going down the hill. You can go down another hill when the wood's not in it. We've got our kindling, we've got the birch bark, and this new kindling splitter that my friend Colin sent me. Thank you, Colin. And now we're gonna get the fire started.
Looks like on the box they just use a hammer.
They do, but we don't have a mallet.
Wow. That'll come in handy. You're almost there.
You're almost there. You gotta keep going.
Don't give up. There you go.
Yep.
Yeah,
There. Well, I would say that is officially going and we can officially start putting the sap on the fire. Oh, there we go. That's frozen solid. So I have a little bit of sap going that I just collected from 2 trees, but I have all of these buckets and they're frozen solid. So I'm trying to set them by the fire to get them warm enough without melting the plastic to hopefully get these in soon, or else we're gonna run out of sap to boil. So this is our warming pan where there's a big chunk of ice, and this is the boiling pan. So you have to transfer the warm sap over the boiling sap so that this pan, the boiling pan, doesn't stop boiling. It's the most efficient way to do maple syrup on a smaller scale, to have the 2 pans.
It's like clouds, girl.
I used to think it was crazy seeing the prices of real maple syrup in stores until I started making my own maple syrup and realized how much effort it took to make it. You need 40 liters of sugar maple sap in order to make 1 liter, so 1 mason jar of maple syrup. The trick is to keep this low enough that it boils well, but not too low that it burns.
Mom, when are they gonna be here?
9 hours. Soon.
We'll figure it out. They're on their way, like 5 minutes or less. The ice block has officially melted and we have some friends over to join us in making maple syrup for the afternoon, which is so nice. One of my biggest goals in buying this property is to be able to entertain, and especially for my daughter to be able to have her friends over and for them to be able to play outside for hours on end. Being an only child myself, I absolutely loved growing up on land and being able to invite my friends over for sleepovers, and we would play in the forest and build forts, play in the creek. There was so many things to do and we had such a blast, and I feel so grateful to be able to provide this for our daughter as well. You can tell how thick the syrup is getting. I cannot wait to actually have a home to invite people over to. The kids can go out and play. I can make food from the garden. Oh my gosh, it's such an incredible dream, and sometimes it's easy to lose sight of that, but on days like this where we actually get to host and utilize our property and have people over, it just is such a huge reminder that I did the right thing in selling our home, taking us out of our comfort zones, and buying 18 acres of land. My goodness, it's already 5 o'clock. We still have another pail to boil down. I'm gonna get the thermometer out. I have to get the maple syrup to 212 degrees Fahrenheit. And once that happens, I can start taking the maple syrup and pouring it through the cheesecloth and strainer. And then once the maple syrup boiling pan gets too low, I'll start adding some sap over from the warming pan, get the temperature back up to 212, pour it through the cheesecloth again, and rinse and repeat until it's all done. We are getting down to the very end here. It's not helping that it's snowing, but we're almost done, but not actually done, because this has to go through an entirely new process inside. Now it's time to go home and finish off the rest of the maple syrup. Well, it's now almost 11 p.m. The maple syrup is still boiling. My family has gone to bed. I want to go to bed too. But maple syrup is definitely a process. It's at 217 degrees and it needs to be at 219. Oh, that is so good. I could probably can it there. Wow. What I love about canning maple syrup is that it's one of the easiest things to can. You don't have to water bath it. You just have to have sanitized jars, pour the maple syrup in, put the lid on, and you're ready to go. It will self-seal all on its own. And it's completely done now. And I have the last teaspoon. Wow. Well, we started the maple syrup day at 10 a.m. We had an hour break around dinner and finished it off at 11 p.m. That is a 12-hour maple syrup day for 1.5 liters of maple syrup. And now it's time for us to go to bed. Thank you so much for joining along and watching this week's video of making maple syrup. Sorry it was a shorter video. I was at home with my daughter for March break, but I'll see you next week. Make sure you don't miss out by clicking the bell notification and by subscribing. Hit that little like button. It's a huge help to me and my family. And with that, I will see you next week.